I taught my bird to whistle like a referee. I can make a free throw when I'm down on one knee. I've been a fan of basketball since I was 5. Now I am a fan of HoopSpeak Live. Hilarious analysis, a mystifying trope. An angel with a cudgel breaking bubbles of soap. Like honeybees buzzing around a hive. Yeah, everybody buzzing about HoopSpeak Live.
Hey, welcome to HoopSpeak Live. I'm Beckley Mason. With me are my co-hosts, Ethan Sherwood-Strauss and Zach Harper. We've got a very good show today. It's going to be a moving, emotional show with Kings writer James Ham in attendance. Today's show is brought to you by the Seattle Supersonics team store, where I'll be going on my next visit home. In the meantime, Zach, how you feeling about all this?
Oh, I think it's pretty obvious how I feel.
Rant.
You know, I don't even know that I have to have that much rage. I think it's more disappointment that there is this situation in which the Maloof family has come off as liars. They have portrayed themselves as all about Sacramento. They're not going to sell the team. They're all about Sacramento. Well, they're not going to build an arena even though they're all about Sacramento. This is fine. I mean, you can say you're all about Sacramento, until the moment you sell to a Seattle group. When your whole family's existence is becoming the butt of the joke, when you're pissing away billions of dollars in equity for inheritance that you have had, and you have to keep selling off businesses to keep covering your losses because you're so incompetent, you come off as so incompetent with business, you've just become the butt of every joke that there is, and that no one respects you. I mean, you can preen around on TV, you can hold your hands up high playing There Goes My Hero when you dupe a fan base into thinking that you have actually become their hero, that you have agreed to an arena deal that you will eventually back out of because one of the brothers, the one with the crazy hair and the DUI history, is going to come in and say that it's not fair. That's all fine. You come off as reality TV whores. You're like watching the Maloofs run a family business, run any kind of business, run an NBA franchise is like watching Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton try to start a tractor on This Real Life in, whenever the celebrity is going to try to do something quirky. Only theirs is scripted. Yours is just failure upon failure upon failure. And you're going to make $500 million out of this. I'm very happy for you. That's capitalism. That's how it works. But I am going to revel in the fact that you will lose that money like you lose everything else. I don't recommend making them a minority owner in this franchise. Every time they own, let's say less than 2% of something, like the Palms Casino, they just end up destroying the value. So if you want the Sonics to eventually be good, and eventually I think they will if you divorce yourself from this dysfunctional, wretched family, I think that's the way to go instead of involving them in your new team. Congratulations, Seattle. I am happy you got a team. But the Maloofs, once again, you are the joke of everything.
I agree with everything you said. A frustration for me, and we've argued about this. I'm big on big markets over small markets. What I don't like is that people who are of my mentality with this will point out in sort of an obtuse manner, like, Seattle's a better market than Sacramento. And yes, that's true. That's true. It is. That is true. But that totally ignores how the Maloofs have handled this in an awful fashion. They've just antagonized this fan base. They've made them think that they were keeping the team, only to pull the rug out from under them. And as you alluded to, they went on the center court after saying they'd accepted an arena deal and preened. They just their own self-aggrandizement. They preened the "There Goes My Hero" as everybody emotionally cheered them as they were getting the team back, only to take it away. That's just beyond the pale. I mean, they're not only idiots, but they're very bad people, in my opinion. And the fact that Seattle's a better place to play doesn't take away from it.
Exactly. And here's the thing. With that whole celebration, their reasoning was, oh, yeah, we didn't want to embarrass Mayor Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson wasn't on the court for like the first 8 minutes of that celebration.
Yeah.
They're just out there.
It was for that.
Just basically, I don't know, just kind of pleasuring themselves with the waft of cheers and love coming from the Sacramento crowd, who was grateful that their team got to stay. Instead, they completely destroyed that.
Yeah, they that is their George W. Bush Mission Impossible moment where he's on the aircraft.
Accomplished.
It's over. Then cut 2 years later, the team is in Seattle. Yeah, so I'm from Seattle. I went through the whole Clay Bennett Schultz issue. For me, I think that it would be way worse to be the Sacramento fan, because as soon as Clay bought the team, which kind of happened quickly, we weren't really sure it was going to happen, the jig was up. I mean, like, there was some hope that people were holding out still, but really everyone knew, like, okay, this guy, he bought a basketball team and he has a stadium in his hometown where he still lives. Like, wonder if he's going to try to move him there. And I remember talking to a sports business professor in my school, and he was like, no, this is over. They're moving. It was like a year out. And I was like, no, but what if? Nope, not going to happen. Like, this is done. Whereas in this instance, there wasn't even, there was like, I don't know, they had me convinced that Seattle wasn't getting that team. And I've been pretty optimistic about it all along. So I can't imagine how it feels to have the rug pulled out from them. And I'm really interested to talk to James about, what the reaction has been for him in particular, because he's the one who helped produce that "Here We Stay" video, and it's gotta be rough. But for me, yay Seattle! Like, we have to kind of be cool about it for another year. But then when the team comes, we can be really excited.
That's what's funny. That's what's funny about this is that this is really awful, and we feel badly for James and also for Kings fans. It's a great franchise, but at the same time, Beckley and I are both, it's like when the guy gets fired and he's leaving his office, like, you gonna keep that? You gonna keep that? Like, you're happy that you're getting your team back. I'm excited for the possibility of some sort of gigantic, ridiculous Golden State Warriors empire where it's only their team for this massive market, which is so just silly that they would have the biggest single market share in all of sports after making the playoffs once in a 19-year span. That's how they get rewarded is just insane to me. I think there's this, people don't know that a lot of people live out in northern central California and beyond that region. There's no distinction. There's no distinction that people make between small markets. They think that Oklahoma City is the same as Sacramento, is the same as, I don't know, San Antonio. That's actually not true. A lot of people live there. For frame of reference, a secondary city within the Kings' purview, Stockton, that metro area is more than half the Oklahoma City metro area. So you're dealing with something of a mid-NBA market, and it would just get locked into the Warriors' territory, and suddenly they'd have a region of over 14 million people all to themselves. And I'm sure Joe Lacob, if you've ever seen him celebrate, if and when this deal goes down, it's just going to go – he's going to go ape something.
Well, yeah, there's Lacob getting booed off the court last year, and the Maloofs getting – rain down on them with cheers, and now look at where they are. The two franchise fan bases couldn't feel any differently about the two owners. All right, let's bring on James to talk about this whole situation from Sacramento. James Ham, how are you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm doing okay. You guys, you're pretty convinced this is over. So I don't know if I should argue that point or not. I will. I'm waiting for your.
Do you think the door is shut?
I don't think so. No. I don't think it's shut. I mean, let's be honest.
We're gonna have to. Sorry. The Maloofs cut the power from James's home, and we were not able to hear him there. I'm very curious to hear. Sounded like he wasn't certain that this is a done deal. Which, given the Maloofs' history, would not be super surprising. That if, as they said, it was on the 1 yard, first and goal at the 1 yard line, if there was a fumble between the quarterback and the running back. Man, that would really be a kick in the shin to Seattle fans. But I guess kind of what you deserve for getting so excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I'm actually curious, Beckley. I mean, you clearly, a year from now, potentially you will be celebrating this because there will be a Seattle Sonics again. But do you feel bad about it? Because, I mean, I guess as a Sonics fan, like, I wonder how that dynamic is.
I don't feel responsible at all for the way that this happened. I mean, it's not like I was petitioning, or even the people in Seattle were specifically petitioning to get the Kings. So we just wanted a team, and this is the way it happened. So I don't feel guilt. I feel sickened over the system, but I've been feeling that for years. For 5 years since they left. So to me, it's much more of a man, this is bad, and I can't quite enjoy the new Sonics with the same kind of zest. But I don't think that people, regular fans in Seattle, have much to be guilty about.
Does the doctor feel badly when the organ donor's organs come in? That's the first awful analogy that comes to mind for some reason. But I think that I think Seattle fans will feel worse about something else. If you've ever, to use another terrible analogy, if you've ever been in a relationship and you've had a really big breakup, but then you get back together after that trust has been breached, it's never really the same. It's never really the same again. There's always that level of discomfort and the idea that this foundational aspect of your life can be wrenched away when you didn't expect that it could be. It is getting a little cathartic for me, guys. No. So I wonder if it's going to be a little bit like the Cleveland Browns, where the enthusiasm for the Sonics and the end product of it is not going to be what it was back in the 90s.
I think a fun game would be guess Ethan's next analogy, which could be like, it's like when you're trying to eat an ice cream cone, but a badger eats your pork. Like that seems like the next Ethan analogy.
That's the new Adidas shoes. They have a badger attached to the shoe that just gnaws off your shin. That's where I go with that analogy with badgers.
All right, sounds like we are getting James Ham back on. Nope, not quite yet. We're still working through the kinks, but we'll just run a little long if we have to get him on. I know I was getting a lot of texts from my buddies in Seattle, asking if is this happening, and it sounds like it. That group has done a lot of, as poorly as the Maloofs did to lose the team. The group in Seattle with Hansen in particular, I think, and Ballmer did a really great job navigating a very
Byzantine.
a Byzantine process, sure, but also just like Seattle fans aren't down to pay for a new stadium. We've got two pretty new ones, and so the way that they kind of worked around the city council and made allies and basically did everything that Howard Schultz wasn't able to do when he was trying to get a new stadium has been very impressive. Let's save the Kings for when James comes on. Let's talk about the Grizzlies, who, Ethan, you're thinking they need to not only make one move but multiple moves?
A big move. Just one or the other. Well, they certainly need to trade Rudy Gay, and I like Hollinger's decision there. And it's funny to me because people are going, oh man, of course Hollinger wants to trade Rudy Gay, lowish PER. PER probably overstates Rudy Gay's case as a productive basketball player. Now, that's just because with aggregate statistics that show the value of what a player does, they place a different value on shot attempts. And it's not to say that PER is worse for doing this, it's just a matter of that statistics philosophy compared to some others like win shares and wins produced. Rudy Gay just grades out much worse in those statistics. So he's even worse than PER might indicate if you believe in those. And I think it goes beyond Rudy Gay, though. People like the Grizzlies because they're unusual and they're quirky. But they're quirky for a reason, Like, that style doesn't necessarily work. That two post players, not a lot of spacing style, isn't great for offense. That's why it's quirky. And the defense is majestic. I love watching the defense, but I think that you can retain that defense with a foundation of Marc Gasol and Mike Conley, who, in my opinion, are the two most important players in that defense, and perhaps get some better offense if you trade for some shooters.
Yeah, I think that they definitely need some more consistent. Oh, are we doing this? James, can you hear us? Nobody moved. Okay.
Yes,
All
I
right,
can
just
hear you.
excellent. All right, why isn't the door shut in Sacramento? Explain.
Oh, sorry, I thought the Seattle hypocrite stole my internet, and so sorry about that. Why isn't it done in Sacramento? It's not done in Sacramento because until the NBA approves it, it's not done. I mean, we learned that in the Anaheim situation, and this is different because, once again, the city of Sacramento has everything waiting. A deal is waiting for whoever wants to buy this team and move into a new arena downtown. I mean, they're in the same position that Seattle is. They've got a dilapidated, crappy arena sitting there that someone can play in, and they've got a giant hole in the ground where they can build something. So the other thing I'll point out is that the Maloofs only own 43% of the Sacramento Kings. Buying majority ownership won't cost $500 million. It will only cost their 43% and 43% of the debt, or maybe a little bit more of the debt. So it's not like we're dealing with someone doesn't have to write a blank check for $500 million. Sacramento.
That's a great point. I'm curious, as for you, someone who's kind of been at the center of Here We Stay and keeping the team around, what were the personal texts and emails that you got after this news broke?
Oh, it was there was a lot of chaos and panic, and Woj has such a big name that when he throws something against the wall, it usually sticks. And I think for most people, your stomach dropped, and it was that moment of, oh great, here we are again, and this one actually looks more legit. Because I mean, we do know that Seattle's a great market. I mean, realistically, I think a win-win would be that everyone gets a team in this situation because that's how it should be. And I did hear Ethan go off about this gigantic mega market that is going to be created, and I think he's wrong. I think what the NBA is about to do is they're about to drop a nuclear bomb on Sacramento, and there won't be an NBA fan anywhere to be found. I mean, this has been a trying 2 years of really so much going on, and it's one thing after another with this group. And I think people are done. People are spent. I'm not sure that people want to revitalize the team down the road. I mean, it's scorched earth. I mean, it appears to be the Maloofs' idea to scorch the earth, but it's happened. And I mean, there are plenty of people that would love to keep this team in town and to have new owners and have this thing work out. But if they leave, I don't see this having a good outcome.
So you don't think that anybody at all in Sacramento, or at least a significant portion of the population, is willing to be conquered by us? Is willing to live within our imperial. It feels like imperialism. It feels like Warriors Nation. Like your general has taken his army away for whatever reason. He's not competent. Who knows what's going on? And we're just sort of trundling in and saying we're going to treat your women okay.
Yeah, there's a few people who may buy the city shirt and then drive to Oakland to go catch a game, but I'm not sure why they would do that. So, I mean, it's not, and I'm sure that your boss, Lacobe, has a nice pair of jeans picked out to go celebrate this, and maybe his market expands. But, I mean, come on. This is one of those situations where, I mean, Seattle's been...
Was that a metaphor? Maybe Lacob's market expands?
Yeah, there it is. I've seen that guy come in way too many times wearing a nice tight pair of Levi's. It's like, what are you doing, man? You own a team. I'm just a guy who covers a team, and I wouldn't wear Levi's to a game. It's like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Showing up at 7:30 thinking the game starts, then, not a half hour earlier like it did. So, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those situations where I think that the fans of Sacramento, they put their heart and their soul into keeping this team here. And I mean, I'm one of those people who did that. It's not like I write and I try to keep a perspective when I do write, but I've also created a feature-length documentary on this situation. I mean, this is a long, drawn-out, painful situation that isn't good for anyone. It's not good for the NBA, and the Maloofs have done nothing but completely embarrass David Stern and the NBA, and that's why I'm not sure that this is just a rubber stamp. He wants them gone. There is no question about that. He wants them out of the league, but that doesn't mean that he wants it at the expense of a fan base that has been incredible for 28 years.
James, let's say the deal does go down and they are sold. There is an arena deal for any competent NBA owner who wants to come in and own a team. I don't think necessarily NBA basketball is dead in Sacramento. With an arena deal in place, with an ownership group coming in that possibly doesn't have, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars in debt owed to a city and the NBA. Could an expansion team, let's say the Bobcats, move? I mean, I wonder if David Stern will kind of do the same thing he did for Seattle. Look, I'm sorry this situation got screwed up. We'll get you a team.
Well, he could do that, but how long has it been since Seattle's had a team? I mean, by the time this thing gets back around to being done, the money will be gone. Kevin Johnson won't be the mayor anymore. I mean, we're talking about long term here. I mean, if David Stern wants to take Chris Hansen's money, have the Maloofs take Chris Hansen's money and go away, and then revitalize the Sacramento deal this summer and say we're going to give an expansion team to, I don't know, Larry Ellison, Ron Burkle, whoever it may be, then that's something that I think fans could embrace if it was quick. But this has been just an ordeal. I mean, you don't play kick the can with a full soda can and then go drink it. I mean, that's basically what this is. I mean, you shook it up, you shook it up, you shook it up. It's over. I mean, once you pop the cork, it's going to shoot all over the place, and it's difficult. Yeah, I like that. My bitterness is so deep. Like I'm going to have Seattle Bandit shirts made, just so you know. Yeah.
I'm wondering, a major figure in this whole imbroglio is Kevin Johnson. In my opinion, the most underrated point guard of all time, and a Cal grad. So I'm inclined to like him, but I'm wondering, do people in Sacramento like the way he handled it? Is he viewed as somebody who went down fighting and did all the right things against an inexorable force?
Oh yeah, definitely. Kevin Johnson is a hero. I mean, if there is a stadium built, there's a statue outside of Kevin Johnson. I mean, that's just the way it is. Kevin Johnson has done incredible things, and his group of people have done incredible things. But he followed the will of the people, and that's something that should be remembered in Sacramento. Without the will of the people pushing Kevin Johnson to make a move, this wouldn't have happened. I mean, Kevin Johnson easily could have just let this team slip away 2 years ago, but the fan base wasn't ready for that, and I don't think Kevin Johnson was ready for it either. But one guy standing on a hill doesn't make anything move. You need multiple people to sort of carry the momentum and to show that the will of the people is to build something. It's to get something done. I know, Ethan, that you're anti government paying for arenas like this. I mean, we've been through this
In
discussion
general,
before.
yeah.
Yeah, in general, but when so many people stand up, when an entire city turns itself purple when the NBA and Clay Bennett comes through, I mean, that shows a will, and it shows that the people of Sacramento were ready to spend the money to take the plunge and to do what they needed to do to keep their team. And it's something that Kevin Johnson used as, a driving force. And he's gonna always be the guy who hits the home run in the bottom of the ninth, but you forget about the guy who threw the one hitter and the shortstop and second baseman who turned the double play 3 times and the center fielder who dove and caught a ball. You forget about the other plays when someone hits a home run in the end. And there were a lot of people that played a huge role in this thing in Sacramento.
So I guess you're the we'll make you the second baseman in this analogy. I was so can you tell me what's I think people a lot of, they've really been like very small reports on what's going on. What's the latest? Is anything developed since? Have you heard anything that hasn't been out there much?
Well, I've talked to a lot of different people, be it in Seattle. I just got off the phone with Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times for our Cowbell Kingdom podcast, and they think that it's just a matter of crossing I's and dotting T's, and that the basically it's in the lawyer's hands. That's not what we've heard down here. We've heard that the Maloof brothers are still not convinced that there are. It's always been a divide between George Maloof wanting to sell and his brothers wanting to retain the team in Joe and Gavin. So there's still an internal struggle between the Maloof family as to whether or not they'll take the deal. Kevin Johnson and his people came out yesterday. I mean, Kevin Johnson had a press conference and basically said, hey, now we know they're for sale. For the last 2 years, they've told everybody they're not for sale. It would have been nice of the Maloofs to say, you know what, we're considering selling and we're going to talk to Hansen. If you want to get in the negotiations, that's fine. But that's not what happened. They just completely, blocked out Kevin Johnson and his group. There's a lot of bad blood here. I mean, during the whole blowing up of the arena situation, Chris Lahane, one of Kevin Johnson's PR guys, basically compared dealing with the Maloofs to dealing with North Korea. This has been a bad situation. It's just ugly. It's ugly that it has to go this way. But at the end of the day, I think Kevin Johnson will still get a shot. He'll still get a shot to find somebody. And I know that sounds ludicrous and everything else, but I think that the NBA owes Kevin Johnson at least that, because he did everything possible last time. I mean, you can't take anything away from what him or the fans of Sacramento did. And I think it's time that, the NBA, they couldn't do anything about the Maloofs tanking the arena deal. They can do something about this. They have the power to block or to look at two different offers and make the decision that's right for everyone at hand.
Yeah, and I really hope that you guys do pull it off. I do have my reservations about. Did you want to go, Beckley? What was that face? What was that face about?
That was my. Come on, maybe Seattle needs a team.
Oh, sometimes I forget about it. Look, I have the local
your
influence
political system. Your politicians gave up. They gave up, Beckley. I mean, they took the deal. They took the deal, and they let your team walk out the door. If they would have held on, you've seen Sonic's Gate. I know you've seen it. If they didn't let him walk out the door, if they would have made him play out the 2 years.
I'm not making this as Seattle versus. I was making a snide joke at Ethan's
expense. I think that Seattle has some cultural, almost a cultural superiority complex of this, where they almost believe that they just deserve one because they have a superior fish market and are closer to the water. At least that's the strain I've been seeing on Twitter, at least. And neither here nor there whether Beckley's a part of that. I just wanted to say, I wanted to ask James, you probably have a lot of frustration when it comes to knowing these details intimately and being so immersed in these issues. And a lot of people on the outside don't exactly know what's going on. So what frustrates you most? What's the biggest misnomer or nuisance as far as what people say or what they believe in regards to this situation?
Well, I think the biggest thing that needs to be out there is that the Maloofs, I mean, I know Zach ranted on this. The Maloofs couldn't make it work here, but that's not the city of Sacramento's fault. I mean, the Maloofs did everything in their power to run other businesses into the ground. I mean, they've lost so much personal wealth, it's ridiculous. They own 2% of the Palms. They've sold their beer distributorship. I mean, they run Zing vodka out there to try to sell vodka now. It's like this catastrophic slide that the Maloofs did, and it's their own personal issues. It had nothing to do with the fans of Sacramento. But when you take a team in 2006 and you tank an arena deal in 2006, and then from then on you stop spending and you become a mid-level exemption team who sits at the bottom of the cap, then you're going to put a bad product on the floor. Eventually, the fans are going to go away. The fans are, and you know what? The fans have done great things still. They still want to fight. But for 6 years, this team has been bad. I mean, not just like, marginal. they've been a top 5 pick, for years. And it just, the Maloof family, their inability to put the necessary funds into the team has hurt their own franchise. And it's not Sacramento's fault that there aren't people, flooding in the doors. Look, if we knew we were getting a new owner tomorrow, the building would be sold out for the rest of the season. It would be sold out, because that's the passion that's here in Sacramento. But not with these guys. I mean, it's over. They've run their course. They've drugged the team and the fan base through the mud too many times. One other point, if this does happen, I can't wait to see what happens to Beckley when DeMarcus Cousins has to face 300 days a year of rain, because that is a recipe. That's a recipe for disaster. I fear that he will break the Space Needle. He may tear up the turf there at Seattle Stadium, and this is not going to be pleasant if it goes down. And just so you know, DeMarcus Cousins is fully sold on being a Sacramento King, not a Seattle Supersonic. He's dedicated himself to Sacramento. This is a place that he thinks that he can make a difference long term, and he wants to kind of raise the franchise from the ashes. It's sort of a personal thing that he's taken on, and I mean, now you're going to put him in the rain. I don't know if that's a good idea.
All right, well,
James, real quick,
take my chances in Seattle versus Sacramento, I guess. First, before we go, I have to ask you, are you the pizza guy?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, the pizza guy. Boy, and does that play twice every commercial break? I swear it does. I mean, road games are the worst thing in the world, aren't they? You have to sit there at home and watch the pizza guy, and it's not a good sign. I'm not the pizza guy.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Isaiah Thomas is the pizza guy.
Yes.
Or what? Yeah. All right, James. Well, good luck. And again, I think it should be said, and from every high place in America, that Sacramento has done an incredible job of making this as hard as possible for the team to leave. And with some good luck, it sounds like it's still possible. But if not, you'll always be welcome. I'll send you a Cousins 52 Sonics jersey that you can burn.
52? Oh no, not James Johnson's jersey. Now he's stealing James Johnson's clothes.
52.
Okay, well, hey, thanks for having me on, guys. And Beckley, I hope you lose.
All right. Well, either way, it's a good result, I guess. I don't know what to say.
Either way,
just give them both a team. Just give them an expansion team.
Yeah, screw OKC.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, yeah, I really flubbed that at the end. It's like such an awkward interaction, because I'm not nearly interested in Seattle getting a team as James and the people who he's worked with in Sacramento are with keeping it. And it's like you don't want to get in that thing that Oklahoma City fans did with Seattle, where Oklahoma City was like, "No, we deserve it. You guys suck for not, being able to keep your team." If it comes, it'll be a good day. And
you live in
I'm not
Brooklyn.
getting my.
All
right, guys. We are running a little over, so we're going to close without a dagger smash noted. But I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. We can just play this Rubio clip, and then we'll play the song, and then we'll be out.
When at one point he scored 10 straight points for Minnesota. Rubio behind his legs to Lou Amundsen, but Lou couldn't finish.
Roger Bain, take us out.
I taught my bird to whistle like a referee. I can make a free throw when I'm down on one knee. I've been a fan of basketball since I was 5. Now I am a fan of HoopSpeak Live. Hilarious analysis, a mystifying trope, 'cause I'm about HoopSpeak Live.